And actually, Klopp was speaking about how we act in the transfer market a little bit. So Klopp was speaking about our recruitment, and he said, we know exactly what we need and exactly what we want. We don't shoot for a player out there and go for him just because other teams want him. We have our clear ideas. We have to intensify our efforts in the last few years. You have to say more often than not, we've got the player we wanted, and that's the truth as well. They were not always first picks or choices. And sometimes people say, why him? I think with Darwin, it's kind of clear that everybody agrees he's a pretty good striker, but it's just how we do it. We don't go for the fancy stuff. We want to go for the right stuff for us because it's part of the quality, and the other part is his character. The character has to fit our way of playing. For offensive players, it's pretty cool if you win the ball back high up the pitch. You don't have to run back 80 yards to try and catch the ball and then go 80 yards in the other direction. So again, Klopp kind of just giving us an insight into the fact that we've been pretty damn good, as we know, in the transfer market, and that we've gotten most of the targets that the club have wanted to get. Obviously, nobody's ever going to get 100% of their targets, but yeah, it's good to see that the manager's happy. But does that mean we're finished in this window? I don't know. Honestly, I keep going back and forth on it. The line that's been put out there is that the club are finished, that the club's business is done in this window, and that we won't be doing anything else until next summer. But it's football. So things move quickly, things can change quickly, players can become available, which I suppose kind of leads me in to speak a little bit about the guy Nunes, Matheus Nunes, who Chris spoke about on Mundo Sporto earlier on. Matheus Nunes, where are we? Are Liverpool interested, and where might he end up? Are we interested? Well, look, that I suppose depends on who you believe or what you believe, but there are believed to be 3 Premier League clubs interested in the Sporting Lisbon midfielder. Liverpool 1, Chelsea are another name listed, and Manchester City are a third name listed. Now, what do we know about this guy's contract? Well, he's got a buyout clause in it that runs until 2026. The buyout clause is for £50.6 million. But interestingly enough, even though he has a buyout clause, it doesn't mean that that's how much they want from him, because on our side, we're being told that a fee of 33.7 million, and that, again, that's been reported in a few media outlets as well, would be enough to get him out of Sporting Lisbon and to whomever the suitors are, whether they're City, whether they're Liverpool, or whether they're Chelsea. I guess it all comes down to what Klopp wants. The age profile of the guy seems about right. The price seems achievable. 33.7 million, or 34 million quid is a reasonable amount. I mean, if you see some of the deals that have been done in this window for players like, as an example, Rafinha going for 60 million, Richarlison 60 million, Calvin Phillips, what was he, like 40 million, something like that. So the figure seems reasonable enough. I'm not going to claim to know an awful lot about him because I don't watch much, but Klopp was speaking about it and saying that we have 2 guys that basically watch all the Portuguese games for us. They hate watching Benfica games because they're Porto fans, but he was speaking about the fact that we have a very good presence over there, a very good scouting system in Portugal, which seems to be a bit of a hotbed at the minute in European football for emerging talent. Staying at the same club as Matheus Nunes, you also have Pedro Goncalves, or I'm not sure how you pronounce his name, but you know the dude I'm talking about. He's the guy who took over from Bruno Fernandes when Bruno went to Manchester United and has stepped up and done a really good job. Now, we probably don't need that type of player now, because the hope will be that Fabio Carvalho will become our Pedro Goncalves or Bruno Fernandes or whomever you want. So this brings us back to Matheus Nunes. Yeah, I've heard he's good, but I'm not going to profess to be an expert on him. Paddy has watched a bit of him. Again, Paddy speaks well of him. Chris, from, the way Chris, he loves a heat map and he loves a few stats, does Mr. Stonage, and Chris rates him highly as well. So I don't know if there's truth to it or not, but it does look like the names of Liverpool and Manchester City are constantly thrown around with regards to this guy. So, I'll leave it at that, really. I don't have much more to add to it. Chris wouldn't shut up about him earlier. I haven't had a chance to speak to Chris today, and I didn't get a chance to catch Chris's Mundo Sporto stream earlier because I was really busy with other stuff here in the house. Look, Chris loves his stats. Chris loves to delve deep into stats and stuff. So if Chris is saying he's a decent player, and, the few bits we've seen of him, it just remains to be seen whether we're interested or not, really. That's the thing. Yeah, that's the thing for me. I just don't know. Will this Nunes player be a midfielder for us? Well, yes. If he comes, he'd be a midfielder because he's a midfielder. Sorry, that sounded really sarky and it wasn't meant to. I just meant, well, he plays in midfield, so if he came to us, I assume he'd be a midfielder.